Hello. Let's talk about the discriminant and what it tells you about the solutions to your quadratic equations. Well, first, let's tell you what the discriminant is. So what you're looking at right now is your full quadratic formula, and this piece right here is your discriminant. Now, the reason we take a look just at the discriminant sometimes is it can tell us a lot of information about a quadratic equation. For example, if we are looking at the equation y equals 4x squared plus 4x plus 1, and we would like to know whether it has one, two, or no real answers, real roots, places where it intersects the x-axis. The discriminant alone will answer that question for us. Let's take a look. So looking at the standard form of a quadratic equation, our b in this case is 4, so b squared, minus 4 times a, in this case, that's another 4, times c, in this case, that's a 1. And when we simplify that, 4 squared is 16. 4 times 4 is 16, times 1 stays 16. So we have 16 minus 16, or 0. Well, if our discriminant is 0, then plus or minus 0 doesn't change our answer. So in the case where b squared minus 4ac equals 0, we have one real root. Let's look at a different example. So let's take a look at 2x squared minus 5x plus 6. Well, our b squared, negative 5 squared. Don't forget to put parentheses around that, because when you square anything, positive or negative, you get a positive number out of it. Okay, minus 4 times our a is 2, our c is 6. When we simplify, that becomes 25 minus 48, which becomes negative 23. Well, if we have a negative number under our square root sign, the square root of a negative number is imaginary. So in the case where our discriminant is negative, is less than 0, we have no real roots. And stay tuned for an examination of imaginary roots. But now let's look at our last case. X squared minus 5x plus 5. Okay, let's look at our discriminant again. B squared, don't forget to put parentheses around that thing, minus 4 times our a is 1, our c is 5. 25 minus 20 is 5. Well, now when we put that back under the square root, we're going to have our negative b plus root 5 and our negative b minus root 5, and each of those divided by 2a. So in the case where our discriminant is greater than 0, we will have two real roots. All right, now stay tuned for some bonus math geekery. Let's look at this similar but different example, x squared minus 5x plus 4. Well, let's find our discriminant. B squared minus 4 times a times c, and when we simplify that, 25 minus 16, which is 9. Here's what I want to point out to you. When you have a perfect square as your discriminant, then you will not end up with a square root in your answer. So not only will you have two real roots, but you will have two rational real roots, as opposed to when our previous example, we had square root of 5, that would be an irrational number. So the last bit of geekery is, if your discriminant equals a perfect square, you will have two rational real roots. All right, there it is. That's the discriminant. It is the bit of the quadratic formula under the square root sign. When it equals 0, when it's less than 0, when it's greater than 0, or if it equals a perfect square, it gives us different information about our quadratic equations. All right, if you want to keep working with factoring and quadratic equations, check out these other videos. Take a look at my playlist on factoring and consider subscribing so you know when I put out a new video. And as always, keep on mathing.